In the summer of 1877, at a low mound called Tello beside an ancient canal in southern Iraq, French excavators brushed away centuries of silt and lifted two heavy cylinders of baked clay. Each measured roughly the length of a man's arm, 61 centimeters for the first, 56 for the second. Their surfaces were dense with wedge-shaped marks pressed into the clay while it was still soft. Not lists of grain or tallies of soldiers, not decrees of conquest. They recorded a dream. 4,000 years earlier, around 2125 BCE, the city-state of Lagash had risen along the Tigris floodplain. Its ruler, Gudea, governed a network of canals, granaries, and brick temples that fed and sheltered tens of thousands. The records we possess of him come almost entirely from statues and these very cylinders, now housed in the Louvre. They describe a night when the boundary between sleep and waking thinned, and a god spoke in measurements and plans. Gudea lay down in the precincts of the old sanctuary. The air carried the scent of river mud and incense. In the dream, a figure appeared, enormous as the heavens and the earth together. Its head wore the crown of divinity. Its wings spread like those of the Anzud bird, the thunderbird that rides storms. From the waist down, it was a raging flood. Lions crouched at its right and left sides. The giant spoke plainly, "Build my house, the E-ninnu." Then it vanished with the first light. Gudea woke troubled. The command was unmistakable, yet the details remained veiled. He did not consult generals or priests in the usual way. Instead, he prepared a sacred barge, loaded it with offerings, and sailed down the canal to the shrine of the goddess Nanshi at Nina. Her domain included the interpretation of night visions sent by other deities. The cylinders described the journey in measured lines, the barge gliding past reed beds, the offerings of grain and oil, the moment Nanshi received him. She listened, then spoke without hesitation. The giant was her own brother, Ningirsu, warrior and patron of Lagash. The lions and wings and flood were his signatures. The daylight breaking at the dream's end was a sign that Gudea's personal god would stand beside him. Nanshi gave precise instructions. Gudea was to return to Girsu, fashion a chariot worthy of a god, silver fittings, lapis inlays, arrows like sunbeams, and present it with its team of stallions and Ningirsu's own drum, Ushamgal Kalama. Only then would the warrior god speak again. He obeyed. In the second dream, Ningirsu appeared once more. This time he was not alone. A woman stood beside him holding a gold stylus. A hero held a tablet of lapis lazuli on which he drew the exact plan of the temple. The cylinders note the dimensions, the alignment with certain stars, the placement of doors and altars. The god spoke of foundations that would bring immediate abundance. Gudea understood every line. What followed was not legend, but recorded labor. The king purified the city, gathered cedar from distant mountains, diorite from Magan, copper from the highlands. Workers shaped bricks stamped with his name. The E-ninnu rose, 7 terraces, courts open to the sky, chambers for the god's sacred objects. When it was finished, Ningirsu entered his new house, and the cylinders end with blessings of fertility and peace. This was not an isolated event. In the same civilization that had invented writing on clay, dreams functioned as the clearest channel between gods and mortals. Kings did not merely rule, they received blueprints. Priests kept omen lists. Ordinary people expected the night to carry messages. The Gudea cylinders are the longest surviving Sumerian text precisely because the dream mattered more than any battle. It justified taxes, redirected labor, and reshaped the skyline of Girsu for generations. Archaeologists who first read the cylinders in the late 19th century noted the detail. The lapis tablet drawn in the dream matches the architectural precision later confirmed by the temple's foundations. Modern scholars sometimes call the account political theater, a ruler legitimizing power through divine approval. Yet, the physical traces resist that flattening. The cylinders were buried inside the temple itself, meant to be read by the god, not by crowds. The measurements were followed. The temple stood for centuries. The same pattern appears in the records of other Sumerian cities. Dreams guiding canal repairs, harvest decisions, the timing of festivals. Sleep was not escape, it was audience. Centuries later, similar beliefs would surface along the Nile and in the temples of Greece, but the earliest written account of a god handing architectural plans to a sleeping king comes from these cylinders. The clay still carries the impressions of a reed stylus pressed by a scribe who believed the night could speak in exact cubits and alignments. Today, the cylinders rest behind glass in Paris, their surfaces darkened but intact. The dream they preserve is no longer a command to build. It is simply there, two columns of text that once moved thousands of hands and reshaped a city. What else might have been built or left unbuilt because someone closed their eyes and listened?